All right, so many deadlines, so little time. Not only the one later this week regarding Greece and whether they're going to make good on about a $3.5 billion installment on a loan package from the IMF. It's safe to say they will not, and so they'll not only technically, they will literally be in default. But those Iran talks, they're still going on. They keep getting extended and extended and extended. Right now, we're hearing from the Secretary of State, John Kerry, that the U.S. is willing to walk away from this, especially on the key issues we are told being the right to inspect nuclear facilities in Iran and whether Iran could quickly have any of those frozen assets unfrozen by the mere signature of a deal. The U.S., of course, has been pushing for a wait-and-see approach before they go ahead and give away all of that stuff. So they're a long way from any done deal here, but former CIA agent Mike Baker says that's the way it should remain, a long, long way, because he doesn't like the way this is smelling. Why not, Mike?
Well, look, I mean, there's both parties, meaning the U.S. and Iran, have a strong desire to get a deal done. The White House, for the wrong reasons, because I just refuse to believe that the Secretary of State Kerry or the White House are so naive as to believe that somehow this deal will prevent the Iranians from continuing their efforts to get a nuclear weapon. And so I think there's a legacy issue here. I think the president is very keen to get this deal done to show, look, what I've brought to the table during the course of my tenure. And I think the Iranians, obviously, there's no downside for them. It's not as if, I mean, they've been very successful over the years at hiding their improvements, their research, their developments in their nuclear program. They're going to continue that, but they also get the sanctions lifted from their perspective if they get a deal done. I suspect we're looking at a bad deal here in the not-too-distant future.
Normally, and again, when I follow these deals, a sports agent contract comes up and any of that kind of stuff, you get an idea of what's important to each side. For Iran, it's very, very clear those sanctions are first and foremost the most coveted part of any deal, and they want the sanctions lifted. $50 to $60 billion worth of assets that have been frozen now since what? Back in the late 1970s. They want them unfrozen, and they want access to that cash immediately. The fact that they keep coming up, those assets, and immediate unfreezing of them, tells me that this, for them, is all about money.
Well, it is, yeah. I mean, look, there's three major, sort of at the top line, there's three major sticking points. One is the inspection of not just the nuclear sites, but the non-nuclear sites, importantly, the military sites. And I'm not letting the cat out of the bag here when I say that over the years, we have never had a solid inspection regime. We have never gotten that right or been able to get the inspections to a transparent point. Another sticking point is sort of the length of the agreement. You know, it is 10 years, as the Iranians are saying, 10 years is too long. The U.S. is getting squidgy on that and starting to look like they're going to shorten it. And the third is the sanctions, as you pointed out, and the timing of the lifting of those sanctions. So, yeah, the Iranians, again, they're keen to do this because from their perspective, hey, great, we're going to get the sanctions lifted if we get a deal. And it's not as if they're, again, the idea somehow that they're going to change their behavior after all these years, because why? What? Now, the horse has left the barn once we lift those sanctions. And it's not as if, and this idea of snapback and somehow we're going to, if we catch them doing something, we're going to just snap back on those sanctions is ridiculous. You think the Europeans are going to do that? I don't believe so.
Well, that's the fear. Mike, thank you very, very much. Mike Baker. Sure.